Hello and good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are around the world, and a huge welcome to the very beginning of this month's LLM Festival, which is focusing around studying in the USA and in Canada. Before we move on to today's guest speaker, a reminder that this session is live. It will go on demand. If you do miss it, I appreciate there's quite a few different um, regions and countries and nationalities watching this, so fear not, it will be on demand. We will send it to you. It will be on LLM study and we'll send it to you via email also. If anyone has any questions, please be ensured that you can put your questions in the Q&A facility and the live chat and we'll get round to you. But for now, I'd like to hand you over to Juan. Juan, if you'd like to come on, he's the Director of Graduate and International Programs at Washington University in St. Louis, and he'll be with you for the next 20 to 30 minutes. Over to you.
Always happy to be here, and of course, very excited to be able to share this important information with everybody that is watching us now and that will be watching us later. My name is Juan Del Valle. I am the Director of Graduate and International Programs at Washington University School of Law. I'm also a professor here at the law school. I teach several different areas related to negotiation, dispute resolution, arbitration law, etc. And I teach both in our on-campus programs as well as in our online LLM programs. So we do have both formats. I will be telling you a little bit about that. Now, additionally to that, I am actually a graduate from our LLM program. I graduated back in 2010 from the LLM in US Law here at WashU Law. I'm originally an attorney from Colombia, South America. Once I was done with my studies there in Colombia, I had the opportunity of coming here to WashU to study my LLM program. And then, the rest is history. I'll be happy to share my story with you at the end of this presentation and to answer any questions, both as the Director of International Programs and a professor, but also as alumni, right? As an alumnus, somebody that graduated from our program. So the title for this presentation, the way that I wanted to do it was kind of remembering what I was thinking of when I was looking into LLM programs in North America. So I was there. I was in your shoes as everybody that is here considering the possibility of studying abroad and studying an LLM program. I was there and I had several questions, right? And several things that I was kind of evaluating before I made that big decision. So that's why I titled my presentation, The Top 5 Things You Should Consider When Choosing a Law School in the United States. Of course, I will answer those from the WashU point of view. And just a little bit of a heads up, I named it Top 5 Things, but I'll be talking around about 7 things, okay? So the first thing that I was really into was diversity and networking, right? I wanted to make sure that wherever I chose to study, I would be able to study and to learn with students from around the world. I didn't want to be like a small part of a law school, just the international student, right? I wanted something that would be robust, that would have several cultures represented, that I could be able to learn about different legal systems besides the U.S. legal system. And that is something that I found here at WashU. Right now, this year, and I can show you this slide, right? We have more than 30 countries represented in our LLM program. So that meaning that we have students from more than 30 countries. Our program, our LLM program, has around 200 students this cohort. So we're talking about a large program, a large LLM program that brings individuals from around the world, from different legal systems, not only the common law system, but also the civil law system, mixed legal systems, Sharia law-based systems, right? So whenever you bring all this into the classroom, you can only imagine all the information that you're going to be able to acquire and to share with your peers. And of course, this is going to translate into the amount of information that you're going to be learning, right? And later applying as an international lawyer. So that is something that I was really, really into. Now, going back into this a point of diversity and networking, another important issue is whether you're going to be able to study with American students that are in their JD program. And here at WashU, yes, you will be able to take most of the courses that are offered by the law school, meaning that you will be having the possibility of studying with the JED students, with the same professors, with the same academic level and content, meaning that you're going to be learning the same, right? The same amount, which is something important. And I'll explain this in a later slide whenever I talk about LLM and JD integration. But yes, I also added here another point, which is student associations. At WashU Law, we have more than 30 student associations that you can join as a student, meaning that you can create those additional spaces for networking and for learning and debates and everything that every single association has. For example, I am the faculty advisor for two associations, one of them being LALSA, which is the Latin American Law Students Association, of course, right? And we normally in that association have a lot of different networking opportunities. We have connections with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce here in St. Louis. We have connections with several law firms and an observational and mirroring program through law firms for Latin American students. So imagine all the possibilities and all the doors that making part of these associations can really open to you. So that is something that definitely I would advise to take advantage of and check before you join law school. Now, diversity is also important in another sense. And it is that when I was coming to the US, yes, I wanted a very American experience, but that was part of what I wanted to live. But at the same time, I also wanted to be part of a community where I would feel comfortable as an international student. And a very nice thing about WashU is that not only the law school, every single school that makes part of WashU is within the top of the list in the United States and internationally. So what does that bring? A lot of international students. So it's amazing how you just walk for 2 minutes or 3 minutes around campus, and you're going to be listening to 3, 4 different languages. And this diversity has made the whole community adapt to this international community. So you're going to see it not only on campus, but also around campus, right? All this adjustment and internationalization, if you want to call it, very culturally open for us international students. So I would say that I felt so comfortable as an international student here that I was really glad that I made that decision. Now, well, I already told you about this list of students that we currently have. This is the point that I also wanted to raise, the JD LLM integration. Let me explain it. So the JD program is what a local student that, let's say that I graduate from high school here in the United States, then I go to college, and after college, I decide that I want to become a lawyer, then I will enroll in a JD program. That's the law program in the United States. It's normally 3 years, okay? That's the JD program. The LLM program, which is what we're focused in this presentation, is a master's in law program for international attorneys, right? Or international trained lawyers. Now, the LLM could be 1 year, 2 years. We will talk about that. Now, what happens? A lot of law schools in the United States offer the LLM program, but what they do is that they have the LLM kind of separated from the JD program, right? Very independent. And when that separation happens, the result is that professors might not be the same ones. Academic content of courses may not be the same one as the one offered in the JD program, right? So the level overall may lower, right? And that's a little bit of a problem because employers know this, right? Employers are aware of where students receive top quality education when enrolling in an LLM program and where they don't. And maybe the law school is super well ranked, but the LLM program is not as good as the JD. So therefore, even though you have a nice diploma, well, you don't have the same preparation. Now, at WashU, we have the contrary. Right? The good news is that at WashU Law, we do have that integration in between the LLM and JD program, meaning that you will have the possibility of, again, taking courses from the JD offer without a problem, with the same professors, studying with the JD students, same academic content, and of course, therefore, better preparation for your future plans, either if you're thinking about taking a bar exam, or if you're just thinking about, working internationally. Now, this integration translates into two positive consequences. The first one is you will have more courses to choose from, of course, because if you have that possibility of accessing, right, the whole offer of the JD program, well, that gives you a bunch of courses to choose from. Why is that good? Well, because that way you're going to be able to study what you want, what you're interested in, and you can craft, you can design your program, you can take courses from this area, that area, depending on what you really want. And at the end, just like I did, at the end of my LLM, I looked back and I said, you know what, this is wonderful. I was able to learn everything that I really wanted within my LLM program, not what they told me I had to take, because I had this very nice flexibility thanks to the JD LLM integration. That was the first effect, right? The second effect, well, besides, again, everything that I've told you, but a second other effect is that we offer the possibility for our LLM students to transfer to the JD program. We're talking about on campus, okay? If you come on campus, study your LLM program, you will be eligible to transfer into the JD program by the end of your LLM without taking the LSAT. You don't have to take the LSAT, which is good news, right? It will depend on your grades, right, and your performance in the LLM. This year, we had 9 students that transferred from the LLM. They finished their LLM, and now they're joining the JD program on the second year because that's the effect. Which is great. So we do not really have a limit of students that can transfer. If you meet the requirements, you're eligible for that transfer, and then you can continue and finish your JD if you are, interested in that. So that was the second point. Now, let me talk a little bit about the programs that we offer before I move into the next points. So on campus, I'm going to start with on-campus programs, residential programs. That means that you're coming here to WashU to take your courses here. We have 2 formats regarding time. So we have a 2-year LLM program and we have a 1-year LLM program. What is the big difference in between both of them? Well, that the 2-year LLM program has a first year that is mainly focused in legal English skills. So this is a great program for students that maybe do not have English as their first language and feel that they need to work on their legal English skills before jumping or getting into substantial law courses. So we offer that format. We have several students in our 2-year program. They, again, focus mostly on legal English in the first year, plus some courses for credit, including contracts, introduction to U.S. Law and methods, fundamentals of the legal process, right? And then they move into the second year, which would be exactly the same as a 1-year program. So that's the main difference in between both programs, right? The 1-year program is a 24 credit program. You can always take more credits without a problem. You don't have to pay more for that. But you need to approve at least 24 credits in order to graduate. Now, within our LLM program, we have different concentrations, options for you as students. So you could go for the general LLM, right, which is the most flexible one, because again, you have like no area of focus, so you can take courses from around the law school without a problem. We have one that is called the LLM in US Law, which is mostly designed for those students that are aiming at perhaps working in the United States after graduation or working with organizations that deal with US law issues. That was the one that I studied because that was my whole aim, right? So I enrolled in the LLM in US Law, and therefore my diploma says that, and I like it, right? We also have an LLM in Intellectual Property and Technology Law. And we also have an LLM with a concentration in negotiation and dispute resolution. Now, important, those concentrations mean that you will be taking at least 15 credits out of the 24 in a specific area of concentration. Let's say in intellectual property and technology law, right? The one that we have here. So you must take at least 15 credits in IP and technology law courses, right? And then the rest you can use them however, in order to be able to graduate with the concentration. Now, besides the concentration options, we offer certificates. Big difference is that certificates, as you can see here, only require you to use 9 credits out of the 24 in a specific area. I personally like the certificate option because I think it's a way to specialize your studies, but at the same time, you continue to have very nice flexibility of credits to, take other courses that you might be interested in, fulfill the requirements to sit for a bar exam, and at the same time, you graduate from your LLM with a certificate in one of these specific areas. So on campus, we offer certificates in business and corporate law, IP and technology law, international law, negotiation and dispute resolution, or tax law. So as you can see, what we try to offer here, thanks to that integration in between JD and LLM and the amount of courses that you are able to take, thanks to that, you're able to tailor your program and kind of design it, right, in the best possible way according to your expectations. Now, you will be having academic advisors right here, of course. This is not a decision that you have to make by yourself. You can always consult and ask, okay, what would be better according to my plans, according to my goals, my interests, what would be the most, intelligent decision so that I can, use this investment in time, money, effort, the best possible way. Okay, so I always encourage students, please always work with your academic advisors. That's why we have them right there, just waiting for your questions. Now, we also offer online LLM programs, okay? So in the online program, it's called LLM for International Lawyers, right? The online program. It is also 24 credits, right? Actually, the next cohort starts next week. So if you still want to apply, you have to run. Those are terms of 2 months, so 8 weeks, right, of class. You have a wide variety of courses, again, to choose from. We also offer different certificates. You can choose from the certificate in compliance, intellectual property and technology law, negotiation and dispute resolution. So there's also ways to craft your online program if that is the best format for you, right? I understand that some of the members of our audience are lawyers that maybe already have a nice job, right? That would be maybe complicated to leave for a whole year and come to the United States. Or maybe you have a family and it makes it a little bit more challenging to move, right, for a whole year or 2 years to the United States. So the online program offers that possibility for all of you, okay? Now, the online program is not new at WashU. As a matter of fact, I've been teaching in the online program since 2016. And that's not when it was born. It was actually born before that. So this is not a program that was the result of the pandemic or anything like that we had to adapt. No, we have been doing it for a lot of years. So I can tell you that the online format is amazingly good. And not only because I'm a teacher there, a professor in the online program, but I can tell you that, for example, I had a visit 2 days ago, one of our students from Japan, Nobu. Nobu came from Japan to visit us. He's an online student. He has been studying. He has only 2 courses left to graduate, so he will be graduating or finishing his program in December. He came all the way here to visit campus. And I was able to walk him around, and we went to the library for a while. We went to the courtroom and everything. He met the dean. It was amazing. And he was just telling me how happy he is, by being able to learn about, the US legal system. He is a legal counsel for a big company, a multinational company, but he's based in Japan. And he found it really interesting to be able to expand his expertise and include US legal matters so that he can, of course, get a better position within his own company as an international legal counsel. But again, it was so nice to listen to him, to see him so excited and so thankful for everything that he has been able to do with the online program. I'll be happy to talk about more about this afterwards. Let me move into point number 3 after a sip of water. Oh, I'm out of water. Oh, but I do have coffee, and I'm Colombian, so of course. So number 3, I titled it "Learning Through Practice: Opportunities Outside the Classroom." So look, when I was aiming at coming to the United States to study my LLM program, I had already been 5 years in law school in Colombia, right? So yes, I was good at taking notes, passing exams, taking notes, passing exams. But I really wanted that my LLM program had something additional, right? Not only theory, not only sitting down in class, taking notes, passing exams. I wanted to have kind of other learning opportunities that would make the experience better for me. And I was more of a practical person. I always have been a little bit more practical. So I found that here at WashU. Because here at WashU, as a law student, you're going to be able to participate in a bunch of different events and competitions, right? That will allow you to have that kind of a parallel learning curve, right? An experience. I can tell you, you can participate as an international student. You can participate in an international JSUP moot court competition, in the intro moot court competition, in the client counseling competition, which actually the next one takes place in a couple of weeks, mediation competition, the international arbitration competition. So there's a lot of things that you can participate in while you are on your program. Some of those will be for credit. For example, the client counseling competition is for credit. So that's a nice way to also add credits to your program while I will say having fun, right? So I like that. You also will be assigned to a practicing attorney, an attorney advisor, we call it. And with this attorney advisor, you can actually increase your lawyering skills, ask questions, ask for guidance throughout your program. You can work closely, right? Asking for their help. And I think that's always good to have that guidance. Preparing for the bar exam. Important. A lot of you are thinking about being able to take a bar exam upon completion of your LLM program. The most popular one within international students will always be the New York bar exam, right? We do have preparation for that bar exam through 4 to 6 workshops that we offer throughout the year for bar preparation. It is a very nice way to start getting familiarized with how the test goes. And I always encourage my students to take, those, as soon as those workshops are offered at the beginning of the semester, take them, because that will give you a little bit of a sense of what you should be focusing in your courses. Let's say that you're taking contracts or corporations or torts, constitutional law. And then that way, that will kind of craft your mind into, oh, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I should be focusing in if my aim is definitely to sit for a bar exam. So we do offer that, and that's kind of parallel to everything that we offer. You will also be able to participate in the JELP, which is the Judicial Experiential Learning Program, in which you can actually go to courts, both federal and state courts here in St. Louis, and you can learn directly from judges. You can learn directly how the process really goes in life. For real. It's not what a movie can tell you. It's not what the professor can tell you. It's actually being able to go to court and interact and learn through that observation. So I think all those opportunities are really worth using them whenever you're here at WashU. That really enhances your experience. And besides, I think it adds a lot of fun, personally. Number 4, legal English training before starting the program. Well, this was specifically important for me because, again, I came from Colombia, South America. So my native language is Spanish, right? Yes, I knew how to speak and write, etc. English, of course, but well, I was getting into the legal world, right? I was going to study law in English. And that was challenging, of course, right? Because one thing is to be able to have a conversation and talk about whatever, but another thing is to sit down and be able to read cases, analyze cases, apply cases, right? Talking about legal stuff. So I was a little bit nervous about that, and I was very happy because WashU Law has for our international LLM students the possibility of taking a 1 month course in the summer, just before the start of the program in August. That is an intensive legal English program where we will be working on your legal English speaking, writing, reading, right? There's also a mock trial. You will learn how to write memos. You will learn how to summarize cases. So it was so important for me that I was able to take this program. It really made me much stronger, right? For the start of my program, it took a lot of my nervousness out. I was able to adjust to the city, to the campus, to the teaching style, right? Before the start of the LLM. So when classes started for the LLM, I was kind of already feeling at home. Right? I made friends. I made all my friends were from the ILIP. So when we started the LLM program, we already had our friend groups. Most of my friends were from Japan, Netherlands, Colombia, another Colombian friend of mine, China. So it was amazing, right? But we made those friends in the ILIP. Anyway, let me tell you about the ILIP, another piece of good news. Whenever you are enrolled to our LLM program, you don't have to pay anything for the ILIP. So we waive your ILIP matriculation. You don't have to pay. It's a free program. We include it for you. If you are an international LLM student that is enrolled, you can take it for free without a problem. You will get a certificate for that. If you get in the moot court competition and finals, you will get another certificate for that. So it's another way, a nice way to enhance your resume even before starting the LLM program, right? So I definitely always encourage students, right? Despite of your level of English, if English is not your native language, take advantage of the ILIP that we offer you and that I took advantage of back in 2009. Number 5, location and campus, always important, right? Okay, I'm going to study in the US or in Canada, so where am I going to be? So we are located in St. Louis, Missouri. St. Louis is kind of in the middle of the United States. It's part of what we call the Midwest of the United States, next to the Mississippi River. It has this beautiful arch that you can see there in one of those pictures. That's kind of the symbol of St. Louis. And the arch means the gateway to the West, right? It's just beautiful. Downtown, I love downtown. Now, St. Louis is a mid-sized city. So the metropolitan area, the whole metropolitan area has around 2.5 million people. So that means it's not a gigantic city, right? It's not a tiny, town, right? I think it's perfect size. It has everything that you can think of. It's fun. There's always activities to go to. There's always something to do. But at the same time, I think it's a suitable city to focus on your studies. I think that's important. It's not a gigantic, complicated, noisy, messy city. No, that's not it. And I personally was looking for something that was not gigantic and messy because I came from Bogota, Colombia, right? 9 million people, traffic was awful, everybody's angry, right? I didn't want it, right? I wanted something much more smooth where I could really enjoy my studies, but also enjoy my experience, get around, drive around, go to different cities. And I really took advantage of that. Now, living expenses. I think this part is really important because I know a lot of you right now are thinking about tuition, right? Tuition and scholarships, right? And that's the main focus. That's important. But living expenses are also important. A lot of times you might get let's say a scholarship that covers part of the tuition, and that's great. But then you're living in a super expensive city, so you're spending a lot of money every month without being able to legally work in the United States through your program. And then you're not really doing anything because you're spending all that money in living expenses. Maybe you sacrificed a ranking, right, just to get a better tuition, but at the same time, you're studying at a lower ranked school and spending more money. Good news. St. Louis is one of the cheapest cities to live in the United States. This was something that also affected my decision when I came, right? And I was like, oh, I like that. So it's in some rankings is the second cheapest city to live in the United States. So I'm talking about in between 3 to 6 times cheaper than other locations like anywhere in California, New York, Boston, etc., Florida. Done. So this is important. Besides, when you are a WashU student, you will get a little card that is called the U Pass. And with the U Pass, WashU students have free public transportation throughout the year of studies. So you don't have to pay for the metro, you don't have to pay for buses. Well, another way to save. Campus. Our campus has been declared in some rankings as the most beautiful college campus of the United States. So just imagine. Right, I have a little sample, right? For example, here you can see in this picture in the right, you can see that's, for example, one of the reading rooms in our library at the law school. It pretty much looks like the Harry Potter dining room. It's amazing. It all looks like a castle just walking around. I love it. The first Western Olympics took place in 1904, if I'm not wrong, right? And you know where they took place? At our athletic field at WashU. So it's just amazing. You're gonna love it. Now, I told you that I titled this top 5, but I do want to add one more element, and it is scholarships, right? Well, 2 more elements. I'm going to talk about scholarships and ranking. First one, scholarships. Question: do we offer scholarships for our international students, right? The answer is yes. Now, important, we do not offer full scholarships, right? We do offer scholarships that cover part of the tuition. Now, every single applicant is considered automatically for scholarship, but also you can always request, right? If you have some sort of a special circumstance, financial hardship, right? For example, right? Those things, we can talk them over, and we always try to help our students as much as possible. My invitation is, you know what? Apply, wait for the process, and then once the process is gone, then we'll try our best to try to help as much as possible. Just so you know, the maximum scholarship that we offer goes around 50% of tuition, which is still great, right? I was able to study here at WashU back in 2009 because I received help from WashU with a scholarship that covered part of my tuition. So I'm thankful for that, and I think we always want to continue helping our students the most we can. I think that if you're able to secure a scholarship that covers part of the tuition, plus added to the fact that living expenses are thankfully low, well, in comparison to other cities here in the United States, I think that's a nice combination. That regarding scholarships. Lastly, rankings. So WashU Law right now is ranked, well, there's a bunch of rankings, but kind of the most popular ranking is called the US News, the US News ranking. And we're right now number 16 in the whole United States. So that's really, really good. And in some rankings, we're even lower, number 8 and number 6. Now, rankings are important, okay? I think those are things to consider. But I would say that it's important to consider it if there is an integration in between the LLM and the JD program. Remember what I was telling you about the LLM being separated. If it's separated, you will not have the same professors, you will not have the same courses, you will not have the same academic content. But if you're able to integrate, right, those programs and offer the same quality, then ranking matters, because ranking measures really the JD program, not the LLM. Okay, so you want to make sure that the LLM is integrated to make sure that whatever ranking you're looking at is really what is going to apply for you in your studies. This will have consequences when you graduate. I tell you this because I went through that process, and I saw how when I graduated, anybody that would ask me, so where did you study? I would say, well, I just graduated from WashU. They were like, what? Wow. Right? That's what I'm talking about. That's what I want you all to live, right? And to go through, because again, I know this is not an easy decision to study abroad if you're going to come for a whole year, to not be able to legally work in the United States that year. So you're going to be spending money. It's a big investment, a large investment in time, effort, money. So you want to make sure that you make your effort worth it, that whenever you graduate, you will see the effects of the decision that you made. Not just, well, I finished and I'm done, I have nothing to do. That would be a problem, okay? What else was I going to tell you? No, that's it. I'm open for questions and answers. Here, the first thing that I want you to take notes is my email address, okay? Juan Del Valle at wustl.edu. Any question that you have, just please, send it my way. If I'm the correct person to answer it, I'll answer it. If not, I'll redirect you. Okay. But I'm always glad to have this first contact with you. I can always set up a Zoom meeting, a personal meeting, whatever you feel comfortable with. And I'll also be happy later in the chat. I'm going to be sharing the application link. And let me tell you why. Well, you can apply to law schools in several ways, right? One is through LSAC, right? Which is where, they check all your documents and then you can apply for different universities, but you have to pay for that. In the link that I'm going to give you, you can apply for free to our programs, okay? You just open your account, upload the required documents, which I will tell you which ones if anybody asks, and then that's it, right? You don't have to pay an application fee. So that's why I want to share that later in the chat. That's it for now, Gareth. Thank you so much, but I'm here to answer questions.
Thank you, Juan. Thank you. Fascinating to hear feedback from an ex-student and a current employee as well. It's always a lovely blend to hear, because so often we hear from people and it's, speaking on experience from an employee's perspective, which is quite difficult sometimes to share and really get that passion across. So it was great to kind of see and hear from you about what it's like to live in St. Louis. About what it's, I didn't know some of the facts that you were reeling off there. Fascinating. I want to start with that actually. Let's talk about St. Louis as a place to live, because I actually think, forget about academic wise, the most important thing is where you're going to study, where, location, affordability. Are you going to enjoy the diversity of the city? And you're right, actually. You mentioned earlier coming from Bogota as well, 9 million students. You can get lost. It's you're just a number effectively. And whilst I appreciate you were saying, middling city in terms of population, I think you said the metropolitan region has around about 2 million people. That's still a big city, but it probably has a more homely feel to it, because it still probably has that sense of, well, everyone knows everyone somehow, which is great. Talk to me about the 3 times you said, three to 4 times cheaper than other major cities. Kind of put a bit of context onto that. If you were looking for accommodation in the region, the cost of living, the nightlife, the social aspect. You showed us some images earlier of the baseball ground, I think it was, with a great backdrop. It looks like it's Photoshop, but it's not. I looked at it myself. It looks so good. So talk to me a bit more about that and what students can expect when they're living there.
Okay, so let me start with a little bit of info about the city. Look, as I was telling you, yes, 2.5 million metropolitan area. I'll tell you one example that I think is very good to describe. I live in a suburb, so I live 25 miles away from campus. Okay, you know how much time it takes me to go to campus and come back? It takes me 25 minutes each way. That's the way it is, right? So I mean, try that in Los Angeles, try that in Chicago, try that in New York. You're never going to be able, right? In Bogota, that would take me 2 hours, right? It was like that. So that's pretty much what I'm telling you. It's a city that allows you to move around, to get around. It's not all noisy and complicated. So that's one thing that I like. Look, next to campus. So WashU has 3 campuses, right? Where we're located is called the Danforth campus. And in between the Danforth campus and the medical campus, we have the largest urban park in the United States. It is called the Forest Park. It is larger than Central Park in New York, right? And in this gigantic park, you have anything that you can imagine to do sports-wise, of course, right? Golf courses and baseball and everything that you can imagine. But we also have the History Museum, the Arts Museum, the Science Center, the zoo, which is one of the best ones in the United States. It has been ranked #1 sometimes. And you know what? All those attractions are free, right? Which is amazing. That is something that you can really not find in another city in the United States. You always have to pay for everything. But here, right, it is free. So it's amazing just to be able to have access to all those things. Now, nightlife and other fun activities. Oh, yes. This is probably 5 blocks away from campus to the north. We have a street called Delmar, which is called the Delmar Loop. And it is nationally renowned because of its history in blues music. And you're going to be able to find a bunch of bars with live music, a bunch of restaurants, of course, hotels, theaters, right? That was a place that as a student, I used to go a lot because, well, it was so vibrant and everybody would go there. That's not the only place, but I'm just thinking about around campus, for example. That's one nice area to think of. Now, sports-wise, yes, baseball, right? Baseball is a big thing here in St. Louis because we have the St. Louis Cardinals, right? Our eternal enemies are going to be always the Cubs, right? That's a big thing, but everybody here has to do with baseball. I remember that one of the things that I did when I was in the ILEP, in the Intensive Legal English program, they took us to a game for free, right? They took all the group to watch a game from the Cardinals. That was my first time in the stadium. It was amazing. But anyway, hockey, another big thing. We have the St. Louis Blues who won the Stanley Cup 3 years ago, which is also a big deal, which I'm going to a game, by the way, in a couple of weeks because my daughter one of my daughters won a contest in a reading competition statewide, and they gave us 2 tickets and we're going to be able to meet the players and everything.
Wow.
So that's going to be nice. Soccer is a growing phenomenon here, right? So we have the St. Louis City is called the team here. It's amazing. They have a new stadium, which is incredible. People are getting crazy about soccer here. And I can tell you this because my 3 daughters play soccer, and the Midwest, where we are, is known as kind of the national feeder, right, for the best players nationwide. So soccer is a big thing also here in St. Louis. Now, going into the cost, right, of living. So I'll give you numbers, right? I think the best way is to give a number so that the students can make sense of, okay, how much do I need to budget here for this, right? Look, international student, including rent, transportation, food, books, and services, of course, well, related to rent and everything, is around $2,000 a month. Now, that's something that you will not be able to find in other places where just rent is going to be 5,000, right? Just rent. And then start adding, just going out and eating and whatever. No, this is a very nice number, because when you think about it, if you are going to start your program in August, graduating in May, right? Let's calculate 9 months, 10 months, right? So now you know that you have to have around $20,000, right, for living expenses. Again, that's something that if you compare, you're not going to be able to find anything like that. So for example, I just helped two of our international students. They were looking for apartments, and I guide them to the landlord where I was. That was my landlord when I was a student. The buildings are very nice, located near campus, next to the metro, safe area, walking distance from campus, and they are paying for. Or each one of them has a studio, and I think it was around $1,100 for rent. I think one of them is paying $950, right, for that. So, those are the things that you can, numbers that I can give you that I think will give you a very nice sense. And if you want to compare living expenses, you can always Google. So what I do sometimes is I Google, living expenses comparing St. Louis and then I go with another city, right? And I put LA, San Francisco, whatever. And that will give me a little bit of a sense of how much rent, food, etc. Is different.
And I think that dovetails nicely on what you said earlier about the park, the forest park that you mentioned, having the history, the art, the zoo museum, all these things that are free, which is great. Also, as well, I suppose it leads me on nicely to there will be students inevitably on an international level that will want to come over early, get an idea of what the town is like, what it's like to live there, settle in before their studies. What opportunities is there for students to help bed into their studies, come over maybe a month early, Do you have like a summer school that they can join earlier, or kind of a team that will help them settle in?
Yeah, definitely. So two answers for that. The first one that you must take into account is visa, right? The visa restrictions. So the F1 visa, which is the student visa, has a limit, right, in which you can arrive to the United States maximum 30 days before the program starts. Okay, so that's one thing that you want to take into account. Okay, when is the program start? Then you can get here exactly 29 days before that to get adjusted to everything. So several options, right? Remember that we have the ILEP. So the intensive legal English program would be a very nice experience for those who want to work a little bit in their legal English before they start. I think it's wonderful because that helps you or gives you that time to adjust to the university, right, campus, etc., to the city, make friends, get installed, and then boom, once you start your LLM, right, you're already feeling home, which is what happened to me. That's one option. If you're not coming to the ILEP, it doesn't matter. You can always arrive 29 days before, right? Get adjusted. We're always happy to help. We're always happy to show you around, to help, to give you tips and whatever. I'm always happy to help personally because, again, I was a student too. So I kind of already know what students are going to be asking. Um, and I try to tell them, okay, you know what, let's go this, let's do this. And we try to help in a very personal way. So that's something that, again, I also liked. When I was a student, I felt like I really, they really cared about me. So let
Yeah.
me tell you a very small anecdote that I think is super important. When I was here as a student, by the third month, I started getting homesick. So let me explain something about Latin America. In Latin America, we normally do not leave our home, our households until we get married, right? Or unless you're going to study abroad. So it's very normal to be 30-year-old and still live with your parents. It's okay. I mean, if you're not married, that's okay. That's normal. So when I came to study here, it was the first time that I actually was leaving my family for a whole year. And I did feel it. When I was like in 3 months into the program, I started getting homesick. And I started saying, like, I don't know, I want to come back. I miss my family. I remember there were some family problems and I wanted to be there, right? And you know what? The person that I replaced, her name was Michelle Schwarzman. She was the dean for international students back in 2009. She kind of adopted me, if you want to think about it. She told me, you know what? You come to my office every day and have lunch here with me. And we made this friendship. She gave me some free, and you know what? She walked me through my little crisis. In a
Yeah.
couple of weeks, I was back engaged. And that's something that is incredible because I was here by myself. I didn't have family or anything. And I
Yeah.
felt like, you know what, this people in this university, they really adopted me, right? And that's something that I apply back, right? And that we apply back. It's like we know every single student. We know that, the hassles, like we know it's not easy. We are there. We are there. So that shows you a little bit of the way that we see our international students.
It does, and I think in a world of AI and technology, people forget we're all human beings. We all share the same emotions, no matter where you're from, who you are, what you're studying. It might not be an LLM, it might be something else within law, and we all share those same values. Now, a couple of things I want to finish on actually. First of all, I want to talk about the part scholarships that you mentioned. You mentioned that you do offer scholarships. That's wonderful. Not full scholarships. You'd be hard to find a law school, a university across the USA, unless you are an elite student that will full scholar give you a full bursary or a full scholarship. That's, if anyone's watching and thinks, you know, they're there for that, they're not. Ultimately, they're still businesses. They need to help you and they need to evolve. Um, Talk to me a bit more about what a student can do to help achieve that scholarship and get on board. What can they do? What are you looking for in personal statements that you can go, that they're eligible for this? I feel like this is worth it for them.
Yes, I definitely agree that the personal statement is the correct way to start, right? I think the personal statement is a perfect space to describe, whatever situation you have that would be benefited by, a scholarship to help you with that tuition. That is a nice start. But again, the other part that I like, or that I invite everybody, is that if you apply and if you are admitted to the program, right, you will be considered automatically for a scholarship. So let's say that you got a scholarship of $10,000, let's say, right? Then you can always, talk, right? We're always open to talk. I love talking with students and seeing if I can help. Look, if there's budget, I'll help. Believe me, okay? So that's something that I don't mind. I mean, I received help when I was a student. Why am I not going to help? So I'm there to do that. So I would say always ask. Don't be afraid to ask. A lot of international students are kind of afraid to. No, you can always ask. Worst time, possible scenario is no, we cannot. Okay, right? But nobody's going to cancel your admission. Nobody's if you ask for a scholarship. So I encourage either in WashU or any law school that you're applying, always ask. It doesn't hurt. But yes, personal statement would be a good start. Grades, right? If you're still studying and maybe you're planning on, you still have a couple of semesters, well, try to, increase that GPA, right? That's always good. Letters of recommendation, right? Try to look for letters of recommendation from professors, right? And if you're employed, maybe your boss, right? Those things work because we try to analyze every single document that you upload, right? And this is important. The requirement to apply is very simple. It's grades in English, right? And a letter of recommend. Well, an English proficiency test if you don't come from an English-speaking country, right? That would meet the requirements. But if you're really looking for help, well, add a personal statement, add your resume, right? Add every single element so that we can see, everything together and try to help you as much as possible.
Yeah. And just to wrap up as well, final question from me, and I think this is more relevant to the industry. There is an ever-growing belief that you don't need to go and visit. You can do online learning. You can do an online LLM. There are certain institutions, and of course there are benefits. It could be family circumstances, whatnot, and we've evolved, which is fantastic. But the benefits of studying for an international student in particular, the experiences enhances your personality, who you are as a person. Would you like to just share your experience? I know you've touched upon it already, but how it made you into the person you are now, the role you're in now, and ultimately how there are 30 different nationalities within
Mhm.
your law school that are also getting the same success stories.
Yeah, I would say that if you're able to come to campus, well, definitely use that opportunity.
Yeah.
Because as you said, it's not only about the content, right? Because the content is the same one, right? The classes are designed the same, right? It's about everything that you can learn from the classroom experience, outside the classroom, all the benefits of this, practical experiences that I shared that you can do while you're working or while you're studying. Plus, of course, networking, etc., that, of course, become a little bit easier when you're here on campus. Now, in my case, I graduated from Washington 2010, and I applied for my OPT, which is a one-year permit to legally work in the United States after graduation. I got my OPT. I got a job at a law firm here in St. Louis. That law firm had a bunch of deals with Hispanic organizations and Hispanic law firms, so I was kind of perfect for them. That was my first experience here in the U.S. And there's where I was telling you that the reason why they hired me was we had a conversation at a restaurant. I was talking with a bartender, and I was telling the bartender about that I just graduated from WashU. And this gentleman just walks over and says, "Hey, I'm sorry, I was listening to you. Did you just say that you graduated from the LLM at WashU?" I said, "Yes." "And you're Hispanic?" I said, "Yeah, I'm from Colombia." I said, "Can we talk?" Well, he was the owner, right, of the law firm. And
What
he
are the
said, "I can't
chances?
work." Yeah, so he was like, "Wash you," right? That's the big thing. Now, afterwards, I had my own negotiation services law firm in Latin America. I was a senior experienced counsel then for Deloitte and Touch, thanks to my LLM in WashU, of course. Then I was the legal head for 7 countries for Ericsson Telecommunications, thanks to my LLM, right? Then I started teaching negotiations because I continued studying and everything, and I'm here. Right. So you exactly never know, right, exactly how things are going to be turning out, But well, you have to start, right? That's the important thing, is taking the first steps,
Yeah.
right? And seeing how things evolve and what opportunities are going to be opening for you. Now, one important thing. Yes, I mean, online education has been, reevaluated, and I think now the perception of most employers around the world is not that studying online is less than campus. No, of course not, right? It is like online. Sometimes people even focus a little bit more on class when they're online than whenever they're sitting down in a classroom way
Yeah.
back. Right. So employers also know that. So for our audience, look, if you're thinking about an online program, if it makes it easier for you, right, family-wise, work-wise, well, take it, do it, right? That's the important way to do it. Now, one important thing that you must know regarding the difference in between graduating from an online LLM and from an on-campus LLM in the United States will be the possibilities to take a bar exam afterwards. So, for example, the New York bar exam does not allow online students to sit for the bar exam, for example, but California does, Washington does, right? So there's always options out there. So don't think that, oh no, so I'm out. If I take the online, I cannot.
Yeah.
No, you still can. It's just different jurisdictions, okay? But yes, it's according to your needs. That's why I think we offer it.
Absolutely. Juan, thanks for your time. I think it's always great to catch up with you. It's always passionate. Go on,
Can
one
I
more thing. Go on.
Oh, can I share in the chat really fast the link for application?
Juan, what I think would be easier is if you could share the link with myself.
Okay.
I will then, everybody that has registered for this webinar, we've got quite a few people, I will share it directly with all those applications and ensure that they've got every opportunity of finding out. And those that are watching, whether it be live, on demand, on social media today, we will reach out. Juan will have your details as well afterwards. We will share any information that you might have missed. It will be on demand. If you have anything at all, Juan had his email address listed earlier, but in the email that I send you later today, you will have all that information anyway. But for now, thank you very much, Juan. Thanks for your time. Really
Oh,
appreciate that. Look forward to seeing you next year, hopefully, and we'll catch up soon. Take care.
wonderful. Thank you.